Hi.
Oh. Hi. Nice party, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
It's just about over, I guess.
Hey, yeah, everyone's gone.
Except for us, I think.
Oh, we must be the only two people left.
I think we are.
Wow.
Barbara throws a great party, though, don't you think?
Oh, darn, she's a great person.
Yeah.
She's really, really great.
Yeah. I like her a lot.
Yeah, but we shouldn't stay too long. Last time I stayed too long at one of our parties, she called an exterminator.
Well, she's a little insane sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, she's a vicious bitch.
So,
You have pretty hair.
oh, so do you.
But yours is a really nice color and it's really long. It's a shame. You should grow more.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have that nice kind of spiky stuff.
Well, I keep it well grown.
What? So, you have any plans?
No. Do you?
Well, no, but I was kind of thinking I've been here all night and you're really the nicest person I've met.
Oh, thank you. You have really nice hair.
You're really cute.
Yeah.
So, want to take off?
You don't mind?
No?
Oh, okay then. Bye!
Hello and welcome to This Week in Joe's Basement. This Week in Joe's Basement, we're going to look at UFOs. Yep, for an entire episode, we're going to look at UFOs. Excuse me. Before we do that, though, we got some mail, which I got right here. First one we got is a letter from Alonzo J. Garcia III. And so we open up, we see it's typed on official City Council, City of Chicago Council Chamber Stationery. It looks like it's from Alderman James J. Lasky Jr., but in fact it's from his administrative assistant who has access to this nice stationery. And it reads, Dear Joe, I want to congratulate you and your staff. Sorry. I want to congratulate you and your staff that write and produce This Week in Joe's Basement. You have a great show every other week, and I want to let you know that people like me appreciate shows of your caliber and high taste. Please continue airing your shows for the immediate future. In the immediate future? For the immediate future. And I'm sure that you and your associates will be successful in the world of communications. Your on-site reporting on various subjects is, in my opinion, your more interesting material, with your one-act plays. It's a polite term, I guess, for video schlock, one-act plays, coming in a close second. Well, if you're ever in the 23rd Ward, please feel free to stop in and say hello. Please feel free to air this letter on your next show. Sincerely, Alonzo J. Garcia III, Administrative Assistant to James J. Lasky. P.S. I think Michelle is a goddess. Ooh. Well, as of this taping, I think the city is being redistricted or redivided into wards. So we may not be able to find 23rd Ward, but appreciate the invite. Anyway, finally a letter from a familiar source, Deb Paulson, who wrote before. pining after Mark Audrain, and unfortunately I had to demonstrate to her that he was married. And then she wrote again, and apparently not being so choosy, redirected her attention towards me. And I think I asked for a picture, and she sent us one. And it's of her at a rather early age, sitting on Santa Claus's lap. I think that's her. Looks like a boy. All right. So we got this letter here from Deb. 2 pages, where she writes as follows. Dear Joe, it's not every day that a bohemian host, the bohemian host, of a critically acclaimed show dedicates a swig of vintage vino to yours truly. In response to your request that I supply a photo, I've chosen a vintage photo to give you some unusual visual reference to the person behind this signature. As you can see, even in early age, I evinced appropriate disdain for stereotypical authority figures, a character trait shared by many of your fans. Witness the irreverence inherent in your viewer mail. This factor probably accounts for your interesting reactions to the recent flood of letters from the Joe Winston fans, i.e. the foot fetishist and the group of 17. This fan thing is snowballing to epic proportions. Just relax and enjoy it, Joe. Obviously, this week in Joe's Basement experience has been a good one for your fans. We simply want to return the pleasure in kind. As ever, I remain fanatically yours, Deb Paulson. Okay, so on to the meat and substance of this week's show. UFOs, to get to the bottom of this oft-discussed, oft-maligned topic. We've assembled for you a panel of experts to clarify the often confusing issue of unidentified flying objects, UFOs, this week in Joe's Basement.
Hello, and welcome to yet another in our series of science lectures here on Joe's Basement. This week, my assistants and I turn to the subject of the visitation of the planet Earth by people, or creatures, if you will, from civilizations on other distant planets. While many scientists purport to find evidence that such visitations have indeed occurred, what they cite as scientific proof is easily dismissed if we look at it in an unprejudiced, analytical manner. We'll begin with some of the more recent findings. One of the commonly cited pieces of so-called evidence comes in the form of crop circles. These are darkened or flattened circles in typically deserted fields. UFO experts claim that these are the imprint of an alien spacecraft which has landed and taken off again. Recent confessions by pranksters have shown how simply these are made and how little they have to do with extraterrestrial navigation. UFO experts claim that the United States government has in its possession an alien spaceship which crash-landed while investigating the atomic bomb tests of the 1940s. This craft is supposedly resting in the notorious Hangar 18 at a Dayton, Ohio Air Force base. However, no Air Force personnel has ever come forward with such information, nor has any amount of investigation ever found any indication that there was a spaceship or that it now resides on any Air Force base, much less in a specific hangar.
What we'd like to know, sir, today is whether you believe that there are, in fact, UFOs.
No, I doubt seriously if there's any mysterious objects.
So basically, no.
No.
So you don't believe that alien beings have ever visited this planet?
I doubt seriously if they have made contact.
Do you believe that there are other intelligent life forms outside of this planet?
The possibility exists, but there has been no evidence of the probability.
That's good. All right, what we would like to find out from either one of you guys is whether or not you believe that UFOs exist.
Yes, I do.
Do you have any idea where you think they may come from?
No, I don't. No idea.
I think they come, I don't know where they come from, but I know they go to Peru. They go to Peru, they come here and they go to Peru,
That's
so
right.
there's something about Peru.
Why do you think they would pick Peru of all the countries?
Coffee,
I think it looks really nice from above there.
Machu Picchu, all that.
It's kind of like a landing strip, I think.
Yeah, they've got landing strips there, I think.
How long do you think they've been coming here?
I don't know. When was Peru founded?
About 1830.
No, I think a little before that then.
Do you believe there's any evidence of extraterrestrial beings ever having visited the planet Earth?
Definitely.
There is evidence that
I
extraterrestrial...
believe that there is evidence. I haven't seen the evidence, but I believe that there is evidence.
Can you cite some of the evidence that you believe in?
Saucers claiming to be meteors, damaged parts to ships, maybe wheels or just broken pieces of fiberglass or things like that. That's about it. That's about all I've seen.
And so this is all proof that you've seen of extraterrestrial beings?
No, this is through television. The things that they've come up with to say that there's been legal sightings of UFOs.
Well, I don't know. If you define your terminology,
Oh, okay.
there are things flying that I don't know about. In that sense, they exist.
Right. Well, we were thinking...
If you mean a term of art for UFO, no.
Yeah, we were thinking more in the terms of completely out of the universe sort of UFOs, coming from other planets, that sort of thing.
I don't have too much of an idea. All I know is that there are a certain number of objects I know about. If you want to be if you want me to be technical, and a certain number of other objects that I don't know about, probably, maybe. I mean,
Have you ever found any evidence that you've seen or heard of or seen personally of extraterrestrial beings in existence anywhere?
No, the only thing I can recall is Steven Spielberg movies on the subject, and other than that, I've had no experience with UFOs.
All right. Well, thanks very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't more clever. If you give me a little chance, maybe I could have come up with something witty and unusual. But
Yeah, like what?
like I say, if you had, about maybe I could have. Well, what's been the most original answer you've had to that?
Have you seen any UFOs?
Yes. I presume it'd be some variation of yes.
Yeah, I think most of the best ones are some variation of yes.
Alas, yes. I'm sorry to be such a killjoy, but if you want honesty and truth, what can I do? You know, reality is usually duller than fantasy anyway, which I guess is why people have fantasies. So you're stuck with reality, which is most uninteresting.
Yeah, what do you think about people who believe in UFOs?
Well, it's an open question. When I say I don't believe them, I didn't mean to imply that I'd ruled out the possibility. I just find it, something that tentatively I've decided doesn't exist. Now, if you give me a War of the Worlds situation, I'm sure I would revise my opinion very quickly. So, but in the absence of some hard evidence, sensory evidence of some sort, I'm just not a believer. I'm a great believer in seeing and things that appear before the senses. I believe in things that I don't see, hear, feel, or touch. I tend to be a little skeptical of, because the possibilities of things you don't see, hear, feel, or touch are just endless. So you talk about Immanuel Kant and the idea of things in themselves and things as they appear to be. So if it doesn't appear to me to be something, I just sort of tentatively rule it out, just in the name of sanity.
To do a serious study, a meaningful study of anything mystical, you have to great confidence in what your own judgment is, not what someone has told you, not some expert. That there are fundamental laws throughout the whole universe, as far as we know. For example, you can do and there is a serious study of exobiology. So it has been quite thoroughly investigated, and it comes out that all aliens pretty much are human-like structurally. The balance, the moving availability to do things, the human configuration is the best there is, as far as scientists know.
So there are no aliens that are big, buggy-eyed monsters like you see in sci-fi?
It's extremely unlikely, but it is an advanced culture. And they have, whether they had to look into it or whether it was given naturally, understand the manipulating of the mind. So, to the best of my knowledge, UFOs normally would look like whatever they want you to see, which is normally nothing different than what you already see.
So common everyday objects around me might be UFOs?
A car, a boat, if it's in the water, it would be a boat. If a car, for example, remember, as they say, you have to get a lot of confidence in yourself, and you have to have a great awareness of what is natural.
Next, let us look at some evidence which comes from ancient civilizations. Much of the argument that aliens have visited the planet Earth comes from the technological advances of primitive cultures. The assumption is that the civilizations, such as the Mayas, could not have developed the advanced knowledge of astronomy they show without the intervention of beings of an advanced civilization. No civilization could have reached such an advanced stage in astronomy without technological help, the reasoning goes. But studies have shown us that the entire body of Mayan astronomical knowledge can be acquired through simple observation of the stars over a period of time. The same logic applies for such creations as Stonehenge, the Egyptian pyramids, and the massive stone statues of Easter Island. But using primitive tools, archaeologists have transported and raised blocks of stone easily as large as those at Stonehenge. They have built significant parts of a pyramid and found it uncomplicated and straightforward. The indigenous people of Easter Island still know how to erect their statues, and scientist Thor Heyerdahl has documented the technique, raising 50-ton stones involving the piling of pebbles under them. No aliens, no magic, just simple ingenuity.
Right, so you really wouldn't be able to say one way or another whether or not they could exist. We'll put it that way, maybe.
Philosophically, that's correct.
Right, philosophically, they could.
Maybe not common sense-wise, but philosophically, that's correct.
Well, we won't worry about common sense. We'll just talk theory for a moment.
Okay.
So theoretically, it's possible.
I don't know. That's a country there. I can't answer that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I don't either. Well, thank you very much, though, for giving us
All right.
of your time.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Gosh. Sure.
Yeah, what is the purpose of this?
This is a cable access TV show. It's a weekly show called This Week in Joe's Basement. And we're just doing some interviews to find out if they think UFOs exist. That's what we're here.
If we what?
If they believe that unidentified flying objects exist. That's just asking various people what they think.
This is that paranormal.
Well, sort of, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I believe that UFOs exist.
Well, would you be willing to say that on camera for us? Could we talk for just a minute about that?
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you believe that they do exist?
Yeah. They have books written on the subject.
Have you ever read any of those books?
I read some articles. I haven't read the books, but I read articles. They said it was some people from outer space. They had some spaceship. The government had a spaceship.
Oh, yeah.
Washington was. And they worked on that. It was during Eisenhower's term, yeah.
So
they had a picture about it, too. Movie.
Really? Do you know what movie that was?
I don't know what they called it, but there was a movie about flying saucers, yeah. They had it kept under secret, you know, that the government wouldn't tell nobody about it.
What we'd like to ask you is if you believe there are UFOs.
Sure I do. If we're here, why couldn't somebody be somewhere else? You know, the universe is scattered all over, and we live under various conditions here on Earth, so why couldn't people live in different conditions somewhere else?
All you have is secondary evidence of people claiming to have seen it, but why don't they have any physical evidence? Why don't we have a piece of a spaceship or something like that? If I had that, I would have something to sort of base an opinion on, but just hearsay is sort of a flimsy thing on which to base anything. This is my criterion for anything. And so UFOs falls in a subcategory of a very large group of phenomenon, which are just, hypothetical and hearsay.
Don't we accept a great deal of things as secondhand evidence? For example, pictures from the moon. Some people have asserted that these are in fact fakes, and that the space program, the flat earthers, I believe.
That's absolutely right. I mean, you can carry it to all kinds of extremes, to the point where you don't believe anything unless you're seeing it. Presumably, what's behind me, I don't believe that 57th Street exists, because right now I'm looking at 56th Street. So it's true, you can force me to logical extremes, and I would be sort of cornered on purely logical grounds. But since I'm the one that has the opinions, I can be as sloppy as I want. And so. I'm choosing to set the rules here, and I decide 57th Street exists because a minute ago I was walking on it. But it is true that right now I'm not seeing it. So I guess we'd have to modify it and say that anything I haven't historically seen or experienced, I'm skeptical of. But it's true that unless I'm seeing it right here and now, I am taking it on faith that what I saw a minute ago is still there. And I logically cannot give you a reason why 57th Street is still there. I'm just assuming it is. But you're absolutely right. I'm on very shaky ground logically. But then I don't have to explain my my beliefs. That's the way it is. And you're sort of stuck with my worldview of the situation since I'm the one saying the terms of the discourse.
So, you know, if these alien beings that have come to visit our planet and they have a greater perception for truthfulness and the ability to do thought control and all these great superior abilities, they would know. But it seems like they'd be very worth knowing. Have you ever tried communicating with them?
We've communicated, but again, there's something else that comes up. I found this true, that when I'm speaking with these, obviously to me, advanced beings, you're in a peace beyond understanding, just like the Bible says about being persecuted, that you're so peaceful, you really can't think about something complicated or deep. You're just comfortable being there.
So you think they would be looking to colonize our planet?
Maybe. I mean, I feel there's not just one type. I mean, I think there's different civilizations and other planets. Of course, there will be some evil and some not evil. Some may want to colonize, some may just want to learn, you know. I think there's a battle going on up there now anyway, of who's going to do what down here. I think we're an open market.
So you think that, but you think they may be carrying the battle here? The battle may come to this planet as well.
Well, I'm pretty sure there are some already down here. It's back to the good and bad. There's some down here that are trying to infiltrate, and there's some that are just down here, you know, studying. I think they've been down here.
Studying maybe in college?
No, studying the planet in general, not necessarily in a school, but just in general.
They would be then, in a sense, disguised to look like us, so that we would.
They may already look like us. From what that's the whole thing. I mean, from what they've found out so far, you know, they're basically the same makeup. You know, large eyes, large heads, very small mouths. But I just think that may be just one type from one particular planet. I don't think that would be all, but who knows? Some may look like us.
You think that they would be able to disguise themselves to look exactly?
Of course. I don't think that would be a problem at all in terms of intelligence. No, not at all.
You think it's possible that both you and I could be aliens talking to one another from entirely different planets and not realize it?
And not realize it, right. Say we're just born into that and we're just down here. I mean, they can easily take the information from our day-to-day activities. Yeah.
Somewhere we draw the line. Where do you draw the line between the stuff that you say, oh, that's bullshit because it's hearsay, and oh, I have to just take that for granted because I can't be skeptical of everything at every minute?
Well, the criterion, I guess, is historical. In other words, I experienced 57th Street historically, and so barring, if you were to give me some news that 57th Street disappeared and corroborated with some sort of a photograph or something, you know, then I would certainly reopen the question. So I'd say the criterion of relevance is historical experience, which if you stop to think about, is all any of us have. In other words, if we all were to come down with amnesia and couldn't remember anything more than 5 minutes ago, we'd all be drooling idiots. So if you really reflect on that, history is what we're all creatures of, our own personal history, all the things we've learned, all our socialization. If you were to cut off everything that happened to you prior to 5 minutes ago, clearly you wouldn't know language, you wouldn't be knowing what you're doing with this microphone talking to me. So obviously we're all creatures of our experience. I mean,
So historical basis is the foundation of human consciousness.
Well, I'm a little scared of that. That sounds a little too neat. Let's say tentatively yes, although you might be able to push me from that position. It's conceivable.
But wait, if we entertain that for a moment, that historical experience is necessary to maintain one's sanity, one continuity of human consciousness, then perhaps the UFO theories are also in support of people's sanity, basically something to keep them sane in an insane world?
My own feeling about it is it's just sort of a psychic need, a need for excitement, the tedium of reality being such as it is, that the interest in UFOs is the idea that it might exist, just sort of appeals to the imagination, and it's kind of an escape from, you know, the humdrum of reality. In other words,
how could we be bored if we can doubt that 57th Street no longer exists, though?
Well, that's, you have to admit, a much less interesting question than whether or not they're UFOs. I mean, just intuitively, don't you find yourself much more excited about the question, are there UFOs or aren't there UFOs, as opposed to is or isn't there 57th Street? It just, and I can't explain why it's more interesting, but I think all of us would agree it's just a more interesting question, just intuitively. And why we all find that more interesting, I suspect, tells us something about the way we're put together.
I wish I could introduce you to an alien.
On camera, if only our camera had the technology to record him, too.
It may be recorded, as I said about the film.
But then nobody can see it, I guess. Or well, we'll have to see in the booth, in the editing room, whether he's
well,
there.
no, this thing is you'll just have to find out how it was put on the film, what chemical changes, maybe by laser techniques or something.
So perhaps viewers of the show should be warned that there may be aliens present.
It would be interesting if some viewers could see or on your presentation. I don't know if it, I know from a live audience they can see it, but whether it can be stored on tape, probably can.
Maybe somebody would write us if they do see any aliens.
I'll
any
give you a
presences.
clue what color to look for, but I wouldn't want to tell them. So you get an idea if it is right or wrong.
Okay. Why don't we shut off the camera and then you can let me know what color it is.
Yellow.
Finally, we examine the claim that ancient art was influenced by the presence of alien spacecraft. One of the pitiful arguments that the painfully deluded proponents of visitations from other planets use is the fact that several now dead civilizations had inscribed patterns in the ground so huge that they could only be recognized from the air. Some in familiar shapes, such as rabbits or snakes. Others in less obvious patterns, which UFO theorists liken to landing strips. But once again, it has been shown that these are easy to make with simple tools. And while they don't seem to have much significance, what is the significance of the artistic or religious expression of any culture? Do we claim that humans during the Middle Ages built enormous cathedrals as hangars for alien spacecraft from Alpha Centauri? And besides, the little people in my underwear have never mentioned that there is any life outside the planet Earth. Not once. Never. In any of my long conversations with the little people in my underwear have they said anything about extraterrestrials. Indeed, the little people in my underwear have never even implied the existence of UFOs.